I married the love of my life 5 years ago, and it cost her everything. Or at least, that's what her father wanted. What he didn't count on was me being just as stubborn as he is, and a hell of a lot smarter. This is the story of how my father-in-law tried to destroy my wife's career, and how I made sure everyone, and I mean everyone, knew exactly what kind of man he really was. My wife's name is Amanda, and when we met 7 years ago, she was a rising star at her family's investment firm. Her father, Richard Carlyle, founded Carlyle Investments in the early 80s, and it had grown into one of the most prestigious boutique firms in Boston. Amanda was the heir apparent Harvard MBA, brilliant mind for portfolio management, respected by everyone at the firm. She was being groomed to eventually take over. I'm Marcus, and I'm about as far from the Carlyle family pedigree as you can get. I grew up in South Boston. My dad was a firefighter, my mom was a teacher. I went to a state school on scholarships, worked 2 jobs through college, and graduated with a degree in software engineering. I'm good at what I do, I make a decent living, but I'm not old money. I don't summer in Martha's Vineyard. I don't have a trust fund. Richard hated me from the moment Amanda brought me home. It wasn't even subtle. The first time I met him, he looked me up and down like I was something stuck to his shoe. Software engineer, he said, the way you might say sewer worker. How modern. Throughout dinner, he asked probing questions clearly designed to highlight the differences between me and their family. Where did I go to school? What did my parents do? Did I come from old Boston families? Amanda tried to deflect, but Richard was relentless. By the end of the night, he'd made it clear I wasn't good enough for his daughter. Amanda didn't care. She loved me, and I loved her. We dated for 2 years before I proposed, and she said yes without hesitation. Richard tried to talk her out of it. He offered her money, threatened to cut her off, played every card he had. But Amanda stood firm. I'm marrying Marcus, she told him. You can either accept it or not, but I'm doing this with or without your blessing. We got married in a small ceremony. Richard showed up but sat stone-faced through the whole thing. Amanda's mother, Patricia, was warmer to me, but she was too afraid of Richard to go against him. Most of the Carlyle family attended but treated me like an outsider. I was used to it by then. What I didn't realize was that Richard had already started his campaign to punish Amanda. About a month after the wedding, Amanda came home from work upset. Dad reassigned my accounts, she said. All my major clients got moved to other partners. He said it was about redistributing workload, but Marcus, these were my best accounts. I've spent years building those relationships. I was furious, but Amanda tried to rationalize it. Maybe it really is just about workload distribution. I shouldn't jump to conclusions. But it kept happening. Over the next year, Amanda was systematically stripped of responsibilities. Client meetings she was supposed to lead would get reassigned at the last minute. Projects she'd developed would be handed to other people to present. Her input in partner meetings was ignored or dismissed. The worst part was how subtle Richard was about it. He never explicitly said he was punishing her for marrying me. He always had plausible reasons. We need fresh perspectives on this account. I think Thomas is better suited for this presentation. Let's give the junior partners more responsibility. But Amanda knew, and I knew. He was pushing her out. Amanda tried to confront him once. Dad, I feel like you're shutting me out of important projects. Did I do something wrong? Don't be paranoid, Amanda, he'd said. You're imagining things. If anything, I'm trying to reduce your stress so you can focus on your new marriage. It was gaslighting, plain and simple. And it was working. Amanda started doubting herself, wondering if she really was being paranoid, if maybe she wasn't as good at her job as she thought. I watched the woman I loved slowly break down. She'd come home exhausted and defeated. She stopped talking about work with the same enthusiasm. She started having anxiety attacks. The confident, brilliant woman I'd married was being destroyed piece by piece, and it was killing me. 2 years after our wedding, things came to a head. The firm was bringing in a major new client, a tech billionaire looking to diversify his portfolio with a 9-figure investment. It was exactly the kind of high-profile, complex account Amanda specialized in. She'd even written a white paper on tech sector investment strategies that had gotten industry recognition. She prepared a comprehensive proposal, spent weeks on research, and was ready to present to the client. The night before the meeting, Richard called her into his office. "I'm having James lead the presentation tomorrow," he told her. James was a partner who'd been with the firm for 5 years, capable, but nowhere near Amanda's level of expertise, and he knew nothing about the tech sector. "What? Dad, this is my account. I've done all the prep work." "James needs the experience," Richard interrupted. "You'll attend as support, but he'll be leading. This is insane. I'm the most qualified person for this account. My decision is final, Amanda. If you can't handle being a team player, maybe you're not ready for partnership." Amanda came home in tears that night. "He's never going to let me succeed," she sobbed. "Not as long as I'm married to you. He's going to push me out of my own family's company." That's when I decided enough was enough. I'm a software engineer, remember? I know my way around computer systems. And Richard Carlyle, for all his old money sophistication, was terrible with cybersecurity. I need to be clear here, I didn't hack anything illegally. But Amanda had legitimate access to the firm's internal systems. She was a partner, after all. And when she was using her laptop at home, sometimes I'd be sitting next to her. If I happened to notice things, or if she happened to mention her passwords in conversation, or if the laptop stayed logged in when she left the room, well, I'm an observant guy. Over the next several months, I collected evidence. Emails where Richard explicitly told other partners to exclude Amanda from opportunities. Messages where he discussed making her life difficult until she decides to leave on her own. Calendar invitations that were sent to everyone except Amanda. Performance review documents where he downgraded her ratings despite her objective success metrics. But the real bombshell was what I found about the tech billionaire account. Richard had known from the beginning that Amanda was the best person for the account. In fact, several other partners had recommended her in internal communications. Richard had overruled them all and assigned James specifically to set Amanda up for failure. He told James to use a conservative investment strategy that Richard knew the client would reject. The plan was simple: James would blow the presentation, they'd lose the account, and Richard would blame Amanda for not supporting the team properly. It would be the final nail in her coffin, the excuse to push her out of partnership. Except I had proof of all of it. Every email, every message, every calculated move. The firm's 40th anniversary gala was coming up, a huge black tie event with clients, partners, industry leaders, and press. Richard was receiving a Lifetime Achievement Award. It was supposed to be his crowning moment. I had a different plan. I spent weeks preparing a presentation. Not a boring report, a slick, professional multimedia presentation with email screenshots, timeline graphics, voice recordings. Massachusetts is a one-party consent state, and Amanda had recorded several conversations with her father's permission. He just didn't know I had copies, and statistical analysis showing how Amanda's opportunities and performance ratings had plummeted after our wedding. The venue had an A/V system for speeches and presentations. I'd scouted it out beforehand during the setup. With some help from a friend who does event production, I figured out how to access their system. The night of the gala, I wore my best suit. Amanda looked stunning in a navy gown, though she was anxious about the event. "I don't know if I can handle watching him get praised all night," she admitted in the car. "Just trust me," I said. "I promise you, tonight is going to be memorable." The first half of the event went as planned for them, anyway. Cocktails, dinner, speeches from various partners praising Richard's vision and leadership. Richard gave a speech about family, legacy, and the future of Carlyle Investments. Amanda sat next to me, her hand gripping mine so hard it hurt. Then came the award presentation. The MC announced Richard would receive the Lifetime Achievement Award, and the lights dimmed for what was supposed to be a congratulatory video montage. Instead, my presentation started playing on the massive screens. It began with the title slide, "The Truth About Carlyle Investments, a Case Study in Nepotism, Retaliation, and Abuse of Power." The room went silent. I could feel Amanda tense beside me. "Marcus, what did you watch?" I whispered. For the next 12 minutes, my presentation laid out everything. The timeline of Amanda's declining opportunities correlated exactly with our wedding date. Email screenshots showing Richard's explicit instructions to marginalize her. Voice recordings of him admitting he was making her pay for her poor judgment in marrying me. The tech billionaire account setup, complete with Richard's messages explaining his plan to make James fail so he could blame Amanda. Statistical charts showed that Amanda's performance metrics had actually improved over the years, even as her opportunities decreased. Comparison data showed she outperformed most other partners in client satisfaction and portfolio returns. The final section detailed how this wasn't just about Amanda, it was about a pattern of behavior. I'd found other instances of Richard punishing employees who crossed him, playing favorites with people who flattered him, and creating a toxic culture of fear. The presentation ended with a simple message: excellence deserves recognition. Abuse of power deserves exposure. Amanda Carlile is one of the finest investment professionals in Boston, and she's been systematically destroyed by her own father for the crime of marrying someone he deemed unworthy. The lights came up. 300 people sat in stunned silence. Richard was standing at the podium, his face purple with rage. Amanda was crying beside me, but I couldn't tell if they were tears of horror or relief. Then someone started clapping. One of the junior partners, a woman named Sarah who I'd learned had also been marginalized by Richard. Then another person joined. Then another. Within 30 seconds, half the room was applauding. The other half, mostly Richard's inner circle and old guard partners, sat in shocked silence. Richard grabbed the microphone. "This is a disgusting display of this is slander. These documents are taken out of context. This man has. Are you denying you wrote those emails?" someone shouted from the crowd. It was Thomas Chen, one of the senior partners. The context of internal communications can't be understood by outsiders. I'm not an outsider, Richard. I've worked with you for 15 years. Thomas stood up. And I've watched you destroy your daughter's career because you didn't approve of her husband. Everyone in this room has seen it. Other voices joined in. Partners who'd been afraid to speak up before suddenly found their courage. Clients who'd worked with Amanda and knew her caliber demanded explanations. Even some of Richard's allies looked uncomfortable. The gala descended into chaos. Amanda and I left before security could escort us out, though given the division in the room, I wasn't sure whose side security would take. We went home, and Amanda didn't speak for an hour. She just sat on our couch, processing everything. Finally, she looked at me. "That was insane. That was. I can't believe you did that. How did you even?" "I couldn't watch him destroy you anymore," I said. "You deserve for people to know the truth." "My career is over," she said quietly. "There's no way I can stay at the firm now." "Maybe that's not a bad thing," I suggested. "You're brilliant, Amanda. You don't need Carlyle Investments. You could work anywhere, or start your own firm." She was quiet for a long time. Then she started laughing, a slightly hysterical laugh that turned into crying, then back to laughing. "Oh my God. Did you see his face? I've never seen him speechless before." The fallout was spectacular. By the next morning, the story had leaked to the press. Someone at the gala had recorded parts of my presentation on their phone and it went viral in finance circles. Articles appeared in industry publications: prominent investment firm founder exposed for nepotism and retaliation. Carlyle Investments board, yes, even family firms have boards when they're that size, launched an investigation. Several major clients threatened to pull their accounts. The firm's reputation took a massive hit. Richard tried to do damage control, claiming I'd fabricated evidence. I hadn't, and that this was all a vendetta from a gold-digging son-in-law. I wasn't. But too many people had seen the proof. Too many employees came forward with their own stories of Richard's toxic leadership. 3 weeks after the gala, the board forced Richard to step down as CEO. He retained a minority ownership stake, but he was out of day-to-day operations. They installed Thomas Chen as interim CEO and launched a full review of company culture and practices. Thomas called Amanda personally. "We know what happened to you was wrong," he said. "We'd like you to come back as a full partner with restored responsibilities. We're also prepared to offer a formal apology and compensation for the opportunities you lost." Amanda thought about it for a week. Then she declined. Instead, she started her own investment firm. Several of her old clients followed her, including the tech billionaire who'd been so impressed by the presentation materials he'd seen, the ones Richard never let her present. 3 junior partners from Carlyle Investments left to join her. Within a year, Amanda's firm was thriving. She specialized in tech sector investments and socially responsible portfolio management. She built a reputation for brilliance and integrity. She made more money than she ever had at her family's firm, and she did it her way. Richard never apologized. He barely speaks to us at family events, and even then, only when Patricia insists. The rest of the Carlyle family is divided. Some think I went too far, others quietly thank me for exposing what they'd known was happening but were too afraid to address. My relationship with my in-laws is complicated. Patricia has warmed up to me more, especially as she's watched Amanda flourish. Some of Amanda's siblings and cousins are closer to us now than ever. But Richard? He'll probably hate me until the day he dies. And you know what? I'm okay with that. Because every day, I watch my wife go to work at her own firm, with her name on the door, building something she's proud of. She's confident again, happy again. She's the woman I fell in love with, but even stronger because she survived her father's attempts to break her. People ask me if I regret the way I exposed Richard. They say I humiliated him publicly, that I could have handled it privately, that I destroyed family relationships. But here's the thing, Richard was never going to stop. Private conversations, HR complaints, gentle confrontations he would have deflected and gaslit and continued the abuse. The only way to stop someone like that is to expose them so publicly and completely that they can't hide anymore. Did I enjoy it? The presentation, the gala, watching Richard's face as his sins were projected on those massive screens for everyone to see? Yeah, I'd be lying if I said there wasn't some satisfaction in that moment. But this was never about revenge for me personally. It was about protecting the person I love from someone who was systematically destroying her. It was about justice for Amanda and every other employee Richard had bullied or marginalized over the years. My father-in-law thought he could punish his daughter for marrying beneath her station. He thought he could break her spirit, make her choose between her career and her marriage, and either way he'd win. He was wrong. Instead, he lost everything: his position, his reputation, his daughter's respect. And Amanda? She got the career she deserved, free from his control. Sometimes people need to be exposed. Sometimes the only way to fight institutional abuse is to drag it into the light where everyone can see it. And sometimes, the best revenge is helping the person you love rise from the ashes stronger than ever before. Richard Carlyle tried to destroy Amanda's career to punish her for marrying me. Instead, I helped her build something better. And watching her succeed, truly, freely succeed, is sweeter than any revenge I could have planned. They say living well is the best revenge. But I'd argue that exposing abusers while building a better life is even better.